This incident of today will keep your soul in chains. Hence it is requested that you must watch the incident till the end. Let's listen to the incident of a person named Nasir in his own words. It was only 3 months after my marriage that I got the news of my wife's death. It was a painful news. I couldn't even imagine who I loved so much, but could not even express my love openly. My wife, who will leave this world so soon. I had left no stone unturned to fulfill her love. I did as she wanted, but life gave such a tough time on me. I felt very sad that my wife left me on a very young life. But after the death of my wife, then the real story started, which not only kept me in a state of shock, but also made me identify many relationships. As soon as the news of my wife's death spread, my wife's parents came to our house and her mother started scolding me. She started saying that you have killed our daughter, and she was very happy about getting married. She had told us that now only my funeral will take place from that house. You really took her funeral out of this house. Don't you feel ashamed at all? You must have done so many atrocities on my daughter, that's why the poor girl did not even speak and suffocated to death. Now how could I explain to them that I still haven't made relation with my wife? If I had not been able to do so, then why would I have tortured her? Right now our relationship is very complicated. I could not get close to her even if I wanted to. She was so shy that if I talked to her, she would turn her face away. Well, 3 months have passed in this whole game of cat and mouse. Apart from this, another big incident has happened. The thing that troubled me the most was that my wife's parents were saying that we will take the body to our home and bury it in our ancestral graveyard, whereas my family members said that now it was our responsibility, so we will bury her here, but the wife's parents were not going to bury her here. One of the men from the wife's family was being very insistent that under no circumstances we will not allow our daughter to be buried here. All the atrocities you have done on her are enough now. Currently, we cannot leave her here after death. Well, by doing something, or somehow they took out the body from here, and these people kept her in their custody and took home. I was very upset, but I was not going to end my relationship with her. I also went along with her. I was very worried while burying my wife. When I lowered her into Lahad, my body was trembling. I was remembering my death. My heart wanted me to also leave this world along with my wife, but I couldn't do it. Then someone pushed me from behind. I looked back and saw the same man standing who was very adamant on bringing my wife's funeral here. He started saying to me, "Hey brother, now will you also lie down in this grave? Get out of here." I found his style very strange and disgusting. I was a little distant from the grave. He stepped back. Soil was quickly poured on the grave and then it was finally completed. The same man started telling everyone that now no drama should be created here in an un-Islamic way. Everyone should go to their respective homes, and now you, Mian, will you leave this world while mourning your wife? Go to your home and give time to your family members, your mother. I was very upset after hearing his harsh words, but what could I do? This occasion was such that I couldn't even speak much. I quietly came home. My heart was crying badly. Now I started calling a friend. When I put my hand in my pocket, I saw that my mobile was not in my pocket. Seeing this, the ground went out from under my feet. I was very upset and thought that maybe I had left the mobile phone somewhere on the way. Then I remembered that my pocket was a little lighter while coming from the cemetery. I could not feel that much difference at the moment, but the fact was that I had forgotten my mobile somewhere in the cemetery. I immediately went from home to find the mobile. It is difficult to live without a mobile, you guys must know. I immediately reached the cemetery where my wife was buried. As soon as I reached there, I looked at the entire cemetery, but my mobile was nowhere to be seen. I started looking here and there. Then an old man came towards me and said, "What are you looking for?" Maybe that old man was the caretaker of this cemetery. I said, "Just uncle, I have forgotten my mobile here. I am looking for it." "Have you dropped your mobile in the grave?" Uncle had asked with great surprise. "Yes, this is also possible. Actually, when I was looking in the grave, someone pulled me by my waist to take me away. It seems that my mobile has fallen down in the grave." Hearing this, I felt embarrassed. Has my mobile fallen in this grave? It seems that now I will have to dig the grave. Repent, my dear. What kind of talk do you say? That man started touching his ears. For a mobile worth a few thousand, will you break a big law of Allah? Your wife's parents, family members will come back and they will not leave you alive. Don't do such a thing at all. They will think that you have killed their daughter. I was surprised to hear this. That how did this man get to know about my domestic issues? This isn't caretaker. He also knew that she was my wife and her family members were angry with me, and this is the graveyard of my wife's mother's house. Generally in the city, such details are not told, nor does anyone know about the other's family. But how this caretaker was strange, who knew about every kind of thing. I was very surprised, but was silent at this time. I was so sorrowful that I immediately returned to my home and told this to my mother. Amma started saying, "Oh son, what is there to be worried about? You can do this by buying another mobile. You are worried for absolutely no reason. Now, if you do not even have a mobile after the death of your wife, then your heart will be in even more misery. Try to divide your attention now. I'll give you money, go and buy yourself a new phone." I said, "Amma, I had many acquaintances on this number, but if you say so, I will do it. Give me the money." My mother gave me the money, so I bought my new mobile. I bought a new SIM in that mobile also. Inserted the SIM, but then an incident occurred which put me in a lot of trouble that night. It was 12 o'clock. There was no signal on my phone. Suddenly, the signal came. The first number I dialed was my old number. Maybe I was doing this to check the signal, and I was not even aware of it. I thought that my mobile phone had fallen in the grave, so it must be dead now. But as soon as I dialed the number, bells started ringing on it. Hearing this, I got goosebumps. I started feeling a strange fear that my mobile was in the grave and there were bells ringing on it. But what happened in the next moment surprised me. My phone woke up. It was taken, and after seeing what happened in the next, I was so shocked, upset, and saddened by it that I immediately stood up from my place. My mother was also surprised as to what I was doing. Mother asked, "Son, where are you going?" I replied, "Amma, I am going to my wife's grave. What happened?" "First, you had gone with an excuse of a mobile phone, and now what trouble has come? Seriously, you are going to your wife's grave at this time of the night." "Amma, I have to go." I left the house saying this, but I did not know how worried my mother would be behind me. Right now, there was only one thought going on in my heart, and that was the thought of my wife, because whatever I heard after that, I could not remain quiet. It was my full responsibility to investigate this matter, so I reached my wife's graveyard. But as soon as I stepped inside, I found the same caretaker. "Hey man, why do you come here again and again in search of what?" he said angrily while seeing me. "Man, what is your job? Digging a grave, you keep it to that. You ask me questions again and again. Why do you ask? Why have I come here? But man, I am asking you out of sympathy. Also, you do not know about this cemetery. I am the caretaker of this place, so I will take the responsibility. That is why I am asking. If there is any issue, please tell me, I will solve it." I told the whole thing to the caretaker. As soon as he heard this, it seemed he changed his expressions. "Well, I don't know anything about this matter, but I will definitely say one thing. This is related to your wife, not your wife's grave, and you should go and find out about this from your wife's family. Just know that you will understand everything by yourself. If I say anything, it will be a betrayal. That's why I don't want to make myself feel guilty. You go and find it out for yourself. For an intelligent person, one hint is enough." After listening to the caretaker, I understood that he did not want to tell me anything. Perhaps he had extorted some money from my wife's family. Could it be the reason for this? Or there might be some other reason due to which he is not able to tell me the whole thing. I passed through the graveyard of my wife and reached her house, but I did not knock on the door of the house. I just entered the house. I saw all the people sitting in a room and talking. The outside of the house was completely empty. There was no one there, so I walked closer to the room where they all were sitting and talking. I saw that there was immense anger on the faces of all of them. It seemed as if they would just get up and start hitting me. They were talking about my wife. Why were they angry at my wife? Suddenly my hand grabbed on a cup. The cup fell and broke. Then everyone's attention came towards me. "Okay, mother, I will get your work done, but I have come to tell you my issue." "Son, the issues keep going on," my mother-in-law told me while ignoring my issues. "But at first, you do my work. After that, I will do whatever you say." I did not consider it appropriate to argue with my mother-in-law. From there, I took another responsibility and came back to my home. At 2 o'clock, I decided to go to the cemetery. It seemed necessary now that I have to open my wife's grave. At 2 o'clock, everyone in the house was asleep. I knew that the caretaker, who was repeatedly telling me off, would not be awake at this time. He would be thinking that now I will sit quietly, but I was not going to sit quietly. I was not one of them. Such a big thing had happened. How could I remain silent? Around at 2:30 o'clock, I went and completed all the arrangements, and I was surprised that the soil of the grave was very soft. It seemed as if the grave had been closed some time ago. I quickly removed the soil and found it difficult to remove the stone slate. It didn't take me more than 5 minutes. I was so excited and in love at this time that I could uproot even the biggest mountain. Because the grave in front of me was empty. There was neither my wife nor her shroud cloth in the grave. I had come to search for my phone, but a new story had opened up. Actually, when I put my phone to my ear, someone had picked up my call. This made me feel as if my phone was not in the grave, but someone had stolen my phone. But when I heard the next thing, from there I was stunned for some time. Such a sound of the wind's grip kept coming, and then a voice came to my ears that my wife is in severe punishment, and she will continue to suffer like this until the debt in her name is not paid. Perhaps I would become a fool after hearing this, until when I started thinking that the angels who come to the grave do not speak in Urdu language. I have heard that they talk in Arabic, and then how is it possible that I hear the voice of an angel on the phone? This thing seemed like a drama or a lie. This could not have happened in reality. I said, I have dug your daughter's grave, but my wife is not there. My in-laws started getting angry at me that who told me to do this indecent act. It was my wife's brother who came to beat me, and he spoke in such a loud voice that now I was scared of them. I should never have done all this. I couldn't even think bad about my wife, but who would explain this to them? They were thinking that I was cruel, butcher, and an executioner. I didn't think it appropriate to argue too much with my wife's family, because they are ready to fight and kill. When I left from there, the first thing I thought of was my mother-in-law's nephew, whom she had asked me to search for. Leaving aside all other work, I also wanted to search for him because I was very suspicious of my wife's cousin. He had also been missing from home since the day my wife died. After collecting information the whole time, I reached the only bus stand there in the city. There I told about my mother-in-law's nephew. Somewhere there, a local man informed me that he had left early in the morning for dusk. This was not much of a surprise for me. How I reached him while searching for his address is a different story, but he lived in a rented house in a small, narrow street, and today, it had been a week since I was searching for him. As soon as the door opened, I saw someone else in front. There was no one. It was only my own wife standing there. I had come here to look for someone else. As soon as she saw me, one color appeared on her face, and the other color disappeared. She saved her life with great difficulty and started running back. I caught hold of her by the arm and started dragging her. She started shouting and probably wanted to declare me a villain in front of the street people. I made everyone silent that she is my wife and I cannot leave her here like this. Everyone was very surprised. My wife also had a lot of shame on her face. I brought her and threw her in the car and asked her, "Why are you here? Wasn't you dead?" She started crying and said, "For God's sake, please forgive me. Don't take the name of God. You have made him angry and have chosen this path. Now tell me, what punishment should I give you?" My wife folded her hands and started apologizing to me that first you listen to me once, and then I will tell you everything truthfully. If even then you don't believe, then whatever you say, I will do the same. When my wife started telling her story, I also became silent. Now what would I tell her? And what punishment would I have given her? She told that ever since she had grown up, her family members kept coming to her house. She had a cousin who was her aunt's son. He used to come to her house often. So one day, my cousin told me that he will take her to another city for modeling, and she will earn a lot of money. She will become famous and will end the poverty of the house. She also got influenced by his words and then went with him. He took me to the city and made me the target of his lust, and also made his picture. When so many pictures of me were made, I felt helpless. After that, she had started to listen to him. When her mother came to know that, she got her married to me, but that nephew had not given up on her. He had strictly forbidden her not to go near her husband. My wife had now been divided into two parts. She also agreed to the words of that man and lived happily in my house. She did not let her grief be expressed to anyone. Then one day her Aunt Yad made a strange request that you pretend to be dead and then I will take you away from here. This idiot did not even understand that after the marriage of one person, another marriage cannot take place. My wife pretended as per his instructions, and God knows how she did all this with such success. When the death of my wife was announced, everyone from her parents' house had come to my house and were probably hurrying to bury her. That was the reason why that man was standing behind all of them. He must have put money into everyone's mouth. Now he had made my wife a means of earning money and my wife was in trouble. He used to torture my wife a lot and my wife was not able to make eye contact with me. That's why she continued to believe things and got stuck in the quagmire. Now her life had become worse than that of animals. After knowing the truth of my wife, instead of scolding her, I encouraged her and said that if you are ready to be afraid of this evil, then I will help you. I stand with you no matter how many pictures of you the whole world sees, but you will no longer become a victim in his hands. Now I will see this man myself to see how he can escape from the clutches of the law. I had planned to use my connections to take that man to the jail, while supporting my wife the whole time, and didn't leave. Because people who would leave their wives alone at this, he is not worthy of being called a man. If you like the story, then please like and subscribe the channel. Thank you.